I'll be ready in 3, 2, 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, our house supports the OpenAI's transition toward a for-profit structure. You may ask why? Well, here's the thing. It has causing a lot of improvement to the whole nation, to the whole world, such as the trading market, the international trade, global market, stuff like that. So, therefore, we would fully support the OpenAI's transition toward a for-profit structure. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I went into my speech, I will talk about my rebuttal first. So, ladies and gentlemen, my first rebuttal is that because people already had the stigma of AI taking everything, literally everything, as they mentioned, as these people mentioned that, oh, they were gonna take our jobs, they were gonna take our future, they were gonna take our young generation, stuff like that. But in the reality, this AI was still struggling, and many companies still use worker and rather than AI. So not all companies using all of it. Also, it was being made more money as they were meant to help them easier, as the fact that they save more money and they save more funds. So that is my first rebuttal. Second one is that I'll be moving on. Is that the impact of it hits really hard, but in a good way, as they one of the technologies research that fulfills society and the future. So why would we be scared? It was only shows that we develop our technologies research has been evolved so good. So as these people find a solution to many issues of it. So ladies and gentlemen, before I went into my speech, I'll divide it into two sections, which the first one is that the background of it that includes definition, status quo, stakeholder, urgency, and our goals. And the second one is that, of course, our argument. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be moving on into my background, which are the first one by the definition of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, OpenAI was a non-profit AI artificial intelligence research organization with the mission of ensuring that artificial general intelligence benefits all of the humanity. It clearly shows an improvement to companies and economy. So we support fully open AI transition toward a for-profit structure. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be moving on into this status quo or our current situation. As you know, many of companies bankrupt due to the pandemic cost, which is COVID-19, right? So therefore, since they had to fire their workers, so companies would likely to use AI to help to stabilize their income and profits due to the fact it has been that these workers didn't work for them because due to the fact they had to be quarantined, stuff like that. So therefore, this would likely make many of the employees to be mad and to rebel against their companies, making it not really implemented and not fully legalized. So therefore, many of these companies still don't implement it. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving on into my stakeholder, which are three sets, which are the first one is that by companies, worker, and AI. And moving on into my urgency, so the company is the one who's struggling due to the fact they didn't have their AI, they didn't have many helpers to gain their profit, stuff like that. So, and the workers still had a pro and cons to the fact many of them thinking, oh, it was gonna replace our job, and many of them thinking, oh, it was only meant to be helping us to make our job more easier. And it was also one of the future who holds the economy and future. So also the AI is the one who's hold economy and our future. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll be moving on into our goal. Our goal is to be simpler and very clear. We would still use the AI, but only to help company to be easier, and we're not gonna misemphasize and misuse of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be moving on into argument. But before I went into my argument, I will divide it into two sections, which are the first one is that the AI improvement that helps economy. The second one is that by feelings of it, and the last one is that the worst scenario of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be moving on into the first argument, which are the AI improvement that helps economy. So, AI has been modified through years. This caused them to be failed sometimes, but the fact is that it has already been improvised, as they already had a research and had experimented after through many years. This causing AI to be more useful as they help many companies for now. Because the fact is that AI has been helping companies who struggle since lack of employee and competent skill people. Also, the fact is that they had to allocate their funds rightly. Also, as they mentioned, capital profit, which are business model in which investors are allowed to earn profit up to predetermined limits. This companies struggling to compete and sell their product. But the fact is that with the help of AI and due to the limitation of profit, other limitation can be used in AI improvement and fully achieve their incentive with broader organization goals. So therefore, this will likely make the company to gain more profit and making these employees to stay as they still had their job, they didn't got replacement, but they only adding up AI as they were only meant to help those people, to help this company. So therefore, this would likely to make the economies more growing up as it may help the company and making the companies to make more job opportunities as stuff like that. So that is my first argument. I concluded that with the help of AI and we're not misusing it, it shows that it has been improved economy since the fact is that companies would still open a job opportunities to many workers, stuff like that. So moving on into my second argument is that feelings of it. Well, here's the thing. You may ask why. Here's the thing. AI has been modified with society, right? By society of it. So therefore, their goal is only to helping people to make their daily life more easier. But many of them add unimportant things, such as, for example, the robot that has been modified to be amusement to society in China, where they will want the kickboxing and stuff like that. Because of that, this would likely making society see AI as a weird thing and didn't have any feeling. Also didn't think lack of competence and making society view AI was a failure because the fact is that AI was been seen only to harm employees' job as they were more intelligent. Because of this, many of them feels they can replace the workers' job. But in the reality, AI was just a fulfillment to help companies more easier. Also, the fact is that they also didn't had any feelings. They didn't have any emotion and patriotism. Didn't have any mindset that the same way of humans think. So therefore, why would we be scared? They still had we still had empathy, still had mind, still had personality, which AI don't have. Even now, it's the human's fault. They add such details that made humans see them as a future replacement. So therefore, we would like think that it was the human's fault that has been causing many unimportant things to adding unimportant things to the AI due to the fact it only made this human feels them as a future replacement. So moving on into the worst scenario of it, I assume or oppose team would think it can be modified to adding feelings of it. But the fact is that it's only gonna adding unimportant things as I explained before to AI as they were used to help company and not amusement. So therefore, why would we misuse the AI to add feelings, stuff like that? So ladies and gentlemen, I concluded all of my speech and my rebuttal. We would support the OpenAI transition towards a for-profit structure.